The future is notoriously very, very difficult to predict, but because of the incredible changes that we have discussed in parts 1 through 3 of this series, the job is much harder to do than usual. I'm 100% sure of one thing, that a great deal of what I described in this post, describe in this post, will turn out to be laughable 10 or 20 years from now. However, that is true for hundreds of famous prognosticators of the past who are now eating their words. Al Gore comes to mind. It would take me more than a book to fully build out a future world, even one as close as 10 years from now. So in this exercise today, I'm just going to pick a few of my favorites that are going to be impacted by Tesla, Elon, etc., continuing on the theme of this series. I'll take a look at the good, the bad, and finally the ironic. The autonomous vehicle journey over the next 10 years will be filled with opportunities for sociologists and cultural anthropologists to try and understand the human behavior changes as we disrupt the number one job in the world. That's the job of driver. And then we'll also be eliminated a significant part of the daily life of almost every adult, driving. However, the payoff will be too huge to pass up, as the costs associated with transporting humans and goods will create a massive wealth effect for all of humanity. As one podcaster said the other day, when will I be able to send my kids to practice in a cybercab? Slowly, but surely. I know this is like becoming a stupid thing that I'm going to hate to say ever again. Slowly, but surely, and then all at once. Only a few hobbyists and individuals or companies with very special use cases will have cars or trucks that don't drive themselves. And even those are very likely, if they're used in business cases, they're very likely to be driven by robots. At the time of this writing, even the armed forces, not only even, but actually for years now, the armed forces are working to automate every single vehicle in their fleet, those that drive, those that fly, those that go underwater or over water. They're attempting to change every one of those into autonomous for very obvious reasons. So think about a future with no accidents, lawyers with no accident cases, insurance companies boarded up, and garages converted to man caves, playrooms, saunas, or craft paradises. Think about parking lots and garages and even parking meters all gone. New car showrooms will be not a thing anymore. And one of the largest advertising revenue sources will be gone. Taking a quick sidebar, think about this. There's a likelihood that pharmaceutical advertising will also stop. So how will this impact content creation at the most expensive level? The TV shows and other things that, make up most of what we entertain ourselves with today. Well, given that in many ways, AI is now dramatically reducing the cost of high quality content creation, we might see way more very good content and be able to enjoy it at a very low cost, meaning low subscription rates for non-commercial entertainment. Sounds like a great future to me. Well, given the end of the need for parking in downtown commercial neighborhoods, the best city managers will come up with ways to beautify cities in ways never thought possible. In residential neighborhoods, the nightmare of finding parking will go away. Because of electric cars, the particulate and noise pollution will be dramatically reduced, along with CO2 for those who are worried about that. Because transportation of goods and food products and all of the precursors of those goods and food products, meaning the fertilizer, the seed, everything that you can the raw materials in manufacturing, all of those things that are transported currently by trucks and trains, etc., the cost of transporting the precursors as well as the finished goods will all be a fraction of what they cost today because the transportation costs will be so low. Meanwhile, at some point in that next 10 years, the cost of power will finally drop to near zero. Yes, I know right now our worry is is that we don't have enough power. How will we possibly power all these data centers? But what I'm telling you is that 10 years from now, we will have overbuilt. And through nuclear and solar combined with batteries, the cost of electricity will finally be too cheap to meter, as was first promised by Richard Nixon regarding nuclear. Now we will actually have it become a reality. Assuming no massive new need for power that we can't anticipate today, fossil fuels will begin to go away along with all that infrastructure. Yeah, I don't think it'll go away much at all during that 10 years. In fact, we may need more and more and more of it. But somewhere in that 10 years, or beginning around 10 years from now, I think we will get to the peak of the requirement for oil, natural gas, etc., and it will begin to diminish. Well, your home, of course, will switch to all electric as the cost will be far lower than natural gas, and your electricity will come from a distributed source, such as an SMR, a small modular reactor that will be buried in the ground somewhere in your neighborhood, or some local solar battery installation. The national grid will no longer be needed. Now, again, the national grid's not going to go away in the next 10 years, but somewhere around there, I think you'll begin to see the power lines beginning to come down. Well, you might see a pattern here, and I could provide you with many, many more examples of where your cost of living is going to plummet, which, assuming that your earnings stay the same, your wealth will materially increase. But this increase will be most notable among the poorest in the United States and around the world, as entire countries will leapfrog 100 years of infrastructure costs that the current wealthy nations needed to do to get to modernity. They won't have to do it. Kind of like the cell phone or the smartphone has eliminated the need for so much infrastructure that we had in the past in order to get the things that people now get with a simple cell phone. In previous videos, I have listed many of the jobs that I believe will replace those that will disappear. Just to be complete, I'll list a few of those again real quick. I'm not going to go into the details I have in the past. You can find these earlier videos. Number one, content creators and producers. I think this will be a huge job for the future. Number two, influencers like me, which is kind of like a content creator. Influencers will become a bigger and bigger thing. Online educators, as schools and universities become a thing of the past. Number four, owners of robots and other means of production. You will be an owner. That will be one of the ways you can make money. Is you own the robot, you own the self-driving car, you own other means of production, and that will be a way for you to make money. Number five, vacation anything. Resort builders, cruise ship builders, and people that own, guides, adventure planners, skill set producers, coaches, everything like that. Those jobs will become bigger and bigger. I think number seven, scientists and engineers. I believe that will be a growing category. Believe it or not, even with all of AI, I think you're gonna need that actual scientist or engineer that works with AI to get the very best. Number eight, artists of every kind. Think about any kind of art, any kind of art skill, singing. I mean, all the arts, I believe, where people will be looking for bespoke work by humans. And number nine, actually, maybe one of the biggest categories of all will be athletes, gamers, and performers as we look to watch actual humans do things in the future more than we even do today. Well, okay, there's downsides to all the wealth that I've just been talking about. The biggest will be boredom, also a striving for purpose or meaning, a need for something extremely stimulating so that you can feel alive. So another job or profession that will thrive will be those who can provide anything along those lines. Spiritual leaders, sociologists, maybe even psychologists, even though I know Grok is getting really, really good as a psychologist. It may be that those who are tender and emotionally helpful may be in demand in the future, but what will be in demand will be things that do help us to be entertained or feel real, okay, as they say, feel real. So as I'm writing this, I realized that I could actually do 2 hours, maybe 5 hours, maybe 10 hours on my futuristic predictions if I were so inclined, but you wouldn't hang around for all that time to listen. So I'm going to stop here and I'm going to provide you with that ironic ending that I promised you. You see, my wife and I have ended up watching every single movie directed by the best movie director of all time, Alfred Hitchcock. His first movies were made in the 20s. I think the first one was 26, and they continued all the way up until the 70s, the mid 70s. I think last one, 1976. Now, we had this one takeaway from watching all those 80 movies like in 80 days, like 80 movies in 80 days. It was probably a little more than that. But there was what we realized was the fundamentals of life hadn't changed that much. The 20s didn't look all that much different from 2020, whatever we were when we were watching this. We still needed a certain amount of shelter, 3 bedrooms and 2 baths is a lot. It's really good. You really don't need more than that unless you've got 5 kids or something. All the rest is extraneous. We require a certain amount of shelter, a certain amount of food, a certain amount of transportation, a certain amount of entertainment. We need a job or other source of meeting. We need our family, our friends, and our associates. And that doesn't change that much. You look at the homes from the 20s, they don't look that much different. The cars from the 20s don't look that much different. The cars of the future might look a little different, and the main thing will be they won't need a driver, but you'll still need to be transported around. And then on the other side of the coin, no matter how smart or sophisticated that we think we are, boy, do we think we're smart and sophisticated today. I mean, we are just brilliant. We're going to solve all the problems of the world. You know what? With all of that, we keep hurting one another. We do stupid stuff that messes up our lives. We do horrible things to one another. And the stuff that we do spills into the lives of other people. And of course, it turns into really good fiction. We are selfish and grasping, and I don't think that's going to go away just because we have plenty, just because we have all this wealth. I think we'll still be selfish and grasping. We'll be selfish and grasping because how do we get that ticket to the concert that we really want to see? Because there's a limited number of people that can fit in that stadium. Yet these same poor souls are the same people I'm talking about that are grasping and selfish and do horrible things to one another are often beautiful and sacrificial and amazing the following day or week or month or year. I'm almost 100% sure of this prediction. In 2050, folks will look back 25 or 50 or 100 years and they will see that as much as things have radically changed, most of it has pretty much stayed the same. All right, this is Randy Kirk. If you liked any of this series that I did, please like, subscribe, etc. Later today we will have Larry Goldberg as always, Brian White. Around 5 o'clock for Larry, probably 7:45 for Brian White. Might want to go back and look at 1, 2, 3 of this series where I set up what I did today. I'll put all 3 of those cards right up there in case you want to go ahead and do that. Yeah, I think that's all I've got for you, unless you would like to, join Patreon. That's always something that helps out the cause. I think that's all I've got for today. It's been great talking to you.